All right. You got permissions?
Oh, I got the permissions. The permissions are up. Yes, sir. Permissions up.
Everything plugged in. Okay. Let's do this.
Bring it.
3, 2. I don't know why I'm doing that. All right. 3, 2, 1. To Get With The Programming, I'm Chase Ingram.
I'm Captain America.
And along with me is Bill Grumler.
Wolverine.
And this is analyzing the programming, the 2013 CrossFit Regionals.
So much hype this year. So much hype.
After so much volume and weights and everything that everybody's been training since 2012.
Dude, okay, I loved your post when you were announcing the 2012 and this is what changed the landscape of competitive training, and all the people that were out. This was such a massive time between that 2012 year and then this 2013 year of all right, did I lift enough to be massive enough to be able to do enough? Oh man, there was
2 workouts a day.
People's heads were exploding between those two regionals, between 12 and 13. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
Oh yes, it was. We'll start to see the fallout of the 2012 training season.
Yeah.
Or what everybody interpreted from the 2012 regionals is, you guys, if you did not listen to our latest episode, go to we've done 2010 kind of overview of what regionals was that year, and then 11, 12, and we talked about the fallout of the programming that was in 2012. That had nothing to do with CrossFit. It had everything to do with how individualized coaches and programmers took what was programmed and then just ran amok.
They just tried, man. They tried their best.
Tried really hard.
It's like, dang, all right, they're going really heavy. So guess what? You got to go really heavy, and you got to do a lot of stuff, because obviously more is better.
More is always better.
More is always better.
Hope you guys can hear the sarcasm in our voice.
It is dripping all over my microphone right now. It's just drizzling all over my microphone.
But this will center around the 2013 regionals, and we've already done open. We've done the games. This is our regional series, so this has been really fun to do. It's been a very anticipated series to go through these regional events, and as we get into this, we did. I talked to you last week off the podcast about doing another mega episode,
which I thought was a great idea.
Another elimination style bracket mega episode.
One in which you need to pull some beers out to do.
One in which we will probably invite our pals over at the Talking Elite Fitness podcast.
I want to see if me and Sean can get into another argument.
I know, depending on what Tommy picks, I'm pretty sure we're going to cross on a couple of them, because his likes and my dislikes are very paralleled.
That's true. That's true.
But we're going to do another mega episode, an elimination style tournament of the greatest open workout ever programmed, just like we did for the CrossFit Games. So we have that in the works right now. We're compiling the events. We'll send it out to our cohorts over at Talking Elite Fitness, Sean Woodland, Tommy Marquez, and we'll pick our top 10 each, whittle it all down to probably, this will be way easier since it's not 167 of them like we had to do for the CrossFit Games.
The other thing is they kept doing the repeats.
Oh, yes.
So that kind of bumps those out too. Yeah. So, I mean,
well, it's been since 2011. The average has been, even with like the A's and B's, 6, and then you cut out.
Yeah.
Maybe you average 5 because there's repeats. So we probably have 50 to 55 events to pick from.
Maybe.
Not that many.
No,
not that many. I'm just going to spoiler it. I'm going to pick every chipper ever programmed. So
yeah, I know you are. I'm already thinking that if it's going to be one of the, for you, it'll be one of the wall ball rowing ones. That's what I think.
Oh, well, see, here's the thing. That was my best event ever. That was not my favorite.
Why? Just because it hurt so bad? Because you were good at it?
Yeah, because I was good at it. That's so annoying.
Well, this is what's going to be interesting is you don't have the fanfare hype of the grand stage and the lights at the stadium, and it's the open. So everyone's in there. Everyone's going to be in there wherever doing it. And then, so now you purely are going off of like the frame in which you view what makes it good now.
Yeah.
Is not, it was so great watching Rich and Josh and the man handshake afterwards and the battle and the crowd and the lights. You didn't even talk about the event. You talked about all the stuff around the event.
That's true.
Now we're actually going to be talking about the event. So welcome to we're finally in my realm now where we actually get to talk about the event, not all the fanfare stuff around it. It's actually going to be talking about the event. So I'm actually kind of excited about it.
Fanboy bull.
That's right. God dang it.
Anyway, crap. That is in the works. So we'll keep you guys updated on when that show will take place. We will also do it live, just like we did last time, so you guys can interject. Sweet. We'll try to talk to our friends over at Fantasy Fitnessing and see if we can make another little bracket.
Yeah.
Sponsors on board, throw out some goodies. I think it's going to be another good time. But yeah, you're right. I didn't even think about that. This is going to be much more maybe about the event than what surrounded
or personal memories on the event. That's what I mean. So I think the glasses in which you look through are going to be much different than it was for the games.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, we'll probably like fight more for our own personal subjectivity.
That's why I think you're gonna like the wall ball rowing ones. I'm telling you.
Maybe we'll see. We'll see. I didn't like that one, but I was good at that. But speaking of things I like, let's talk about Bub's Naturals.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, gosh. I had a 3-day weekend-ish. With kids, it's not really like a 3-day weekend, but it's 3 days of home with my family, which is always a great time. But I need a little extra boost in the morning, so it's not just the coffee. It's what I add to my coffee, that MCT oil powder, that collagen protein. I pop a couple of those apple cider vinegar gummies. And then I close the top and then I hide it immediately because, like we said before, they're just so dang good.
You'll eat the whole bottle.
I know.
And I don't want to find out the ramifications of that. I've done it with the other stuff. I don't want to do it that one.
I wonder what they are.
More is not better.
We're full circle in the first 5 minutes of the podcast. More is not better. And that goes along with MCT powder taking. I know it's amazing. I know it's delicious. It makes your coffee so creamy and satisfying. Yet, yes, there is a limit of which you should be adding to your coffee. It's a 1 scoop for a reason, Bill.
That's right. One scoop.
You can double scoop the collagen protein.
And I do.
Be wary of double scooping the MCT oil powder.
If you want to hear what it'll look like, go back to some of the other episodes where you can actually start rhyming that and figure out exactly what we're talking about.
And if you want to make sure you have the product to do so, go to bubsnaturals.com. Use the code GETWIT20 for 20% off every order every single time. And one thing we love about Bubs itself is not just who's behind the company, but what they do. And they donate 10% of all their profit to charity. So an amazing company to be partnered with as they do amazing things for other people. I want to thank Element 26. They just did a little post about their thumb tape. I don't know if you saw that. They're just, letting the world know if you don't have
the world's greatest with that.
I know.
Be careful because one of the problems with having such an awesome product, like everybody wants it and then you can't get it out because you just get flooded by the world trying to get all your thumb tape. You're on a hold for like another 3 weeks or something like that. Waiting to get it back again.
You better get on it because they just made a post about their awesome thumb tape, which we found, which we are in love with, which we want a share our discount with you guys. Use the code GETWIT15. That'll give you 15% off all U.S. orders. If you go to element26.co, that's .co, not .com. Go to element26.co, get on their website, get the thumb tape, and use the code GETWIT15. 15 before they run out. And Bill, I'm looking over to my left and I see the wattproof band that I got from Adam.
You try it?
And I haven't tried it yet. I need to set it up on my phone. But we just did a podcast with them.
Yeah.
That got released, what was it, yesterday?
It got released yesterday. I posted it up on my story yesterday.
Difference Maker podcast with wattproof. That was super fun.
It was really cool. And this is what's so great about wattproof is they aren't, I mean, obviously we know that they're the video recording and, you know, all that kind of basic stuff, but there's so much more than that. And, you know, they have, with their Pro Pack, they have all their 12-week programs that they have, templates that you could just, I mean, you pay the $9.99 a month and you have access to any of those programs, which is huge. So whatever you feel deficient in or you want to improve in, and you know, now is the time to really kind of, you know, start up in your game with any kind of holes you might have for the next season. You can look at all of those things, but they have that. They have nutrition stuff. They have where if you make the recordings, you can battle side by side with some of the other athletes that are on there. Some of the big name athletes, the Noah Olsons, the Sarah Sigmunds daughter, the Turi Helga daughters, battle side by side, put your video right next to them. You can do whatever kind of different competitions that they have. They had a rowing competition, I think it was last month or the month before that, where it was just a rowing competition. Everyone hopped on there. You hooked your rower up to your wattproof app and you could see on your video what your strokes per minute were, what your split time was. So cool. And then, I mean, you go, then they have all the discounts. So when you actually make the recording, you get your quote unquote crypto wattproof coins, you know, where you have your little tokens that you get discounts for with all the sponsors that they're involved with. And then they have the Difference Maker podcast that they just added that. So I think we were the fifth one.
Yeah, number 5.
They are a full spectrum. If you want to improve yourself, here's a whole bunch of things you can look at. You can listen to cool stuff. You can, try out different workout programs. You can record all the stuff that you have going on. And since you're with one of us, or if you want to be with one of us, we have the Get With code you can use with that for them to get 20% off a 3-month subscription to that. It's just, there's so much stuff there to use. You got to use it. You got to check it out. It's definitely worth it. So the Pro Pack, 20% off a 3-month subscription for Get With when you use Get With, and then you just have access to everything. But you can check out our podcast anyway. And it was interesting. The podcast, I didn't know which direction it would go. I don't even know if they thought they knew what direction it would go.
We definitely took it in a multitude of directions.
Man, we just slap our jaws so much. We can just talk about whatever, and we just do. Oh. It was really fun though. There was a lot of OG-ness in that podcast. So if you want to kind of get back to some of the starts of CrossFit and us, you know, I mean, we've been around this for a while now. If you want to kind of see kind of how we got into the game and what it looked like when we were there and the landscape of that time and all that kind of stuff, like check out the pod. It was fun. I thought we had a good time. I had fun. I had a great time. I think it was at the end. They're like, okay, we need to stop. Yeah. Guys, we got to wrap it up. Okay, cool. Just say when. All right. You asked a question. You asked a question. And we talked for 45 minutes. All right. You need to give us like shot clocks or something. Yep. What is that? Like, pardon the interruption. It's like you have 60 seconds. Go. All right. Here's what we're here for. Analyzing the program in the 2013 CrossFit Regionals. 3 days, 7 scored events. Ooh. 2-parter on day 1. The scoring table is the same, so it's points per place. So if you get first, you get 1 point. If you get 40th, you get 40. And the lowest points is basically your winner. Still taking the top 3. We're still in our 17 different regions around the world. So our little mini regions that we had, which was just normal regionals back in the day. And for me, this was, you know what? This was the last time I stepped on the floor as an individual. That's right. In 2013. I missed 2012 due to a shoulder reconstruction. And yeah, after this, I went team. That's right. You did. I remember that. Oh, so long ago. What a glorious flame out this.
this weekend was for me.
Oh man, this was such an interesting, just like we said at the top of the show, there was so much hype coming into this, and in the big, strong athletes. Mm-hmm. I mean, the juggernauts were coming out to do damage because they just thought, all right, here we go. Bring it. And then they started listing the stuff out, and it was like, wait a minute. I mean, it's still heavy. It's still heavy, but the volume of stuff that you had to do this year, all of a sudden it was like, God dang it. That was not what I was really prepping myself up for here, man. Come on.
I love it.
I thought it was great. I thought it was so, man, it was so good.
Yeah, so let's get into it. So we start with Friday, individual event number 1, and our theme, our theory. That event 1 that's the grabber. That gets you. That's like it's like the beginning of a Marvel movie. You're just like, all right, we're in the middle of some type of like siege between Captain America and some oil tanker that's hijacked overseas, and Black Widow flies in, and all this amazing stuff. So we start with individual event number 1, Jackie, 1,000 meter row, 45 pound thruster. 50 reps and 30 pull-ups, and the weight was the same for everyone.
Yeah.
Just an empty barbell.
Yeah.
And this was really cool because, again, Jackie's one of those old school OG girl benchmark workouts that was essentially, you're like, okay, when it was first, I was like, can anyone just go unbroken? They didn't even like put a time out there. And then it turned into like, okay, can anybody break like 7 minutes? And then it was 6. And then it was like, who knows? But when you put an event like this out at regionals with this giant pool, because I almost think it's better to do this than at the CrossFit Games. It's like at the CrossFit Games, you have your best overall, all around fittest athletes in the world. But at regionals, you get a lot of specialists.
Oh man, totally.
You have people who are just good at that thing. We saw that in Diane all over the world. And so I love when you get a benchmark event at regionals, because then you're like, okay, now we get to see like, what's the human potential for this event? And after watching it go down, and what I saw Jason Khalipa do and Elizabeth Akinwale do, I was like, I had no idea that this event could be done that fast.
There was still kind of the old, CrossFit website-ish, where you would see, I mean, we kind of transitioned from the old comment where everyone put their comments down in the comment board to, a lot of people were doing like Beyond the Whiteboard, I think was around at this time, just kind of started up. And you would see times that people would get, and it just didn't make sense. There was especially on Jackie, there was a big discrepancy. I remember the videos of seeing people do kind of the older videos of what they could do, but you really had no idea what that was supposed to look like.
Right.
When you get someone like Akinwale or Khalipa and you throw them on the rower and they rip the shit out of that goddamn thing, and you're like, but you have thrusters after that, right?
Right.
Where the most of us would be like, okay, you have to row fast. You can't not row fast on it. It ends up being too quick of a thing, so you have to row fast. But like trying to decipher the pacing on that was unreal, and that's what was so great about Jason. He wasn't a pacing athlete, really.
Not in his repertoire.
He just went, and I remember him ripping that. I thought he was going to pull the goddamn cable off of that rower. And then the thrusters, he's a big, strong guy, so the thruster's not a big deal. And this is what was happening is like everyone got to the point, you rode that red line the entire race to where, everyone could do pull-ups. And so you're on the pull-ups and you're like, oh God, hold on. You cannot break the pull-ups. You can't. Like if you expect to have any sort of time, you cannot break. So everyone's flying and they get to like 20. And it's that last 10, I mean, by fingertips, people doing what they need to do. It was so painful, so painful.
Yep.
And I remember even training, like when we knew what came up, I remember training this and training it thinking, this is going to be the worst one. Like it's going to hurt so bad. That heavy row into thrusters, which you can't stop.
Nope.
You can't stop on the thrusters.
Nope. You can't break either.
So because of that, it just like you said, the big intro to the region was this, because it was a massive explosion of badass athletes just going ballistic off of event number 1. I mean, right out of the gates, they're coming out hot, where you're seeing epic fails right at the beginning.
Yeah.
Unreal. It was unreal. And
what was cool is, we just said they came screaming off of the rower.
Yes.
Prior to regionals, we all did Jackie as fast as we could. And really before regionals, if you broke 6, you were elite.
Yeah.
Elite. If you broke 6, 5:58, you're elite. And then this comes into regionals. And now you're like, okay, everyone is going to go unbroken on the thrusters. Everyone's going to go unbroken on the pull-ups. There's going to be no separation other than maybe stature. And so now Jackie has turned into a row workout when it never was a row workout.
Right.
Prior to regionals, the 1,000-meter row was it was just a buy-in because can I do my thrusters unbroken and maybe hang on to my pull-up bar? That was it, right? It's okay, can I row at a 3:30, which is a 1:45 pace, which is not a slow row. Okay, now I have 2.5 minutes to break 6. Right? Think about that. What I just said. And that's how we used to approach it. Maybe I'll take a quick break. I'll go 30-20 and then 15-10-5 on the pull-ups or whatever, right? Yeah. And that's what it was. And then regionals came, and now Jackie's a row workout. Now I'm having a row a 3:15 or a 3:20 because I cannot lose 10 seconds off the rower or I've lost.
Yeah.
And that was really cool to see. And then Jason Kalipa goes out and breaks 5.
Yeah.
Which
disgusting. He was moving so fast.
In my brain at the same time.
Oh, I remember doing the event, and I remember thinking, I was still telling myself, I'm like, okay, go fast, but not too fast. Go fast, but not too fast, because you got to hang with these guys. And I'm looking at my splits, and I'm like, dude, you're going way too fast. You're going way too fast. Because, you just get wrapped up in everybody. I mean, I was in SoCal, so I'm in there. I have Dave Lipson. I have Josh Bridges. I have Kenny Leverich. I have all of these names. And I'm like, okay, guys, let's go. Line them up. And I'm pulling. I'm just like, oh, geez, here we are. We're pulling a 135 on this. What am I doing?
Yes. It was a cool way to start the weekend. And you're right. It was just... You see people racing on a row and then just sprinting to their barbells. People are dropping empty bars left and right. That was probably the worst part of everything. Bang, bang. I'm like, oh my gosh, can we make a rule that you can't do that?
Only the gym owners were concerned about that.
Sound. And then, it was unbroken or bust. And that was your only choice. And I thought it was really cool that the level of competition changed what this event originally was. It's if you programmed Helen at regionals now, it would just be a run sprint.
Totally.
Just running as fast as you can.
Yeah, totally.
But that was really cool. That was a really cool way to start things off. And then we moved from event 1 to event 2. It's event 2 and 3. It's basically a 2-part event. 7 minutes to establish a 3-rep max overhead squat. But the kicker was it had to start from the floor. And there's another kicker to that. It was you had to start at a certain weight. Mm-hmm. And what were those weight choices? It was 225. It was 185, 225, 255. I think those are were those your 3? Let me find this.
Yeah.
You had to pick a starting weight. Let me make sure I get this correct. Men's starting weight. Yep. 135, 185, 225, 255. Women's was 85, 125, 150, 175. And then once you picked at a certain weight, the men must make 10-pound jumps. So you couldn't do 225, then jump to 265.
Right.
Right. And the women had to pick 5-pound ones. And I remember that 220, I don't know how intentional this was, but those weight choices were so in the middle of everyone's kind of like max, right? And I just remember for myself, I knew I could do over 255, but I didn't think I could start at 255. And then I was like, okay, well, I know I can do 225, but by the time I got to 225, 35, 45, I was too fatigued.
Yeah.
Right. And I think my goal was 265. That was like a huge goal. And there was this huge, for everybody, where to start.
Yeah.
And then that you can only jump 10. It was really cool because it was a strength test, but it was also a strategy and stress test, I felt.
Yeah, that the jump between those two top ones. And this is one of the things where we were learning how to warm up for a lifting event, a strength event, when you would be held in the stalls for 10 minutes. So like you'd be warming up in the back, you'd be all ready to go. And then you got to wait 15 minutes before you actually get out on the floor and start to lift again.
Dude, they would call us up so early.
Yeah. So there was that was a very unique thing. And so I think I think that really affected how much people could lift out of the game. I remember I knew I could do the 275. I knew I could do it. Like I wanted to get in there, which means I had to start at 255.
Right.
Which means you come out cold, clean, right, and jerk 255 over your head, get it to your back, go wide, get it up. You got to get it up locked out, jerk that up from behind the back, and then get into your squat. And they had that, they had the mark, depending how many you got. So they did they pick the weight, and then it's like, did you get 0.3, meaning you got all 3 reps, or 0.2 that you didn't get all 3 of them? So, I mean, there was a lot of things that were happening. And I can't remember, there was something that happened with Andrea Agar. Because I think if you didn't make the lift, you were done. If you didn't get a lift,
that's right,
you were canceled out of the event.
Well, I think that's what the rule was.
Yeah.
But I don't think that's what they did.
So yeah, there was some issue with that. And I remember that being a big deal. So that was the other thing. It was like, okay, well now, do you take the risk of going heavy that you might not make it, or do you play it safe and go lighter and hope you can get a lot more reps, or a lot more of the sets, and they're building to what you're trying to get to? Because if you miss it, then you're out.
Yeah, you're right. Screwed. Minimum work requirement: 3 overhead squats at your opening weight, which was another stressor.
Yeah. So do I pick the 255? Because I don't know if I'll make it or not. If I don't make it, then I'm out of the competition. I'm done.
Dude,
my regionals is done.
I practiced this event more than any other one.
Really?
Yeah. And I would try to do like a warm up and a rest and a start. And I knew that if I wanted to make the games, I had to hit 265 with a shot at 275. That was my goal. Yeah. That means I had to start at 255. But every time I practiced it, I got 3 one time. One time. And I would fail the 3rd rep over and over and over. And I only was successful to do it one time. And so I'm walking out there on the floor, having only done this one time. And I did in lifters, right? I'm coming off, I would wear lifters, and then before we walked out, I was like, screw it. I'm wearing my nanos. And I tossed the lifters because I kept bailing forward. Missing. So I was like, screw this. And so at the last second, I put on nanos that I have not practiced in once for weeks, and went out there, got 255, hit 265, and I think 1 or 2 reps at 275.
Nice.
And that weighed on me. So stressful.
That was a big, it was interesting because it wasn't just the physical piece. It was now the mental piece. You had to pick your own adventure, and that may dictate completely whether you're going to be in the top 5 or the bottom 5, the top 10, going into this. I mean, it's like, great. Okay, you went 225. Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry, you only had 7 minutes. You didn't get enough. Sorry.
Yeah, think about that. It's like, okay, I have to hit 265, but I can't open at 255 cold. It's like, all right, 7 minutes to get there, but you got to do 225, 35, 45, 55, 4 sets of 3 in 7 minutes with an opportunity to just do 255. And really, now that I think about it, because I was more stressed about it then and I never thought about it again, but this was fun.
Oh, man.
This was really fun. A fun way to like force people into weird situations other than just be like, grr, strong.
Yeah. Yeah. Because I think it's also a confidence in your strength. Not just do you have the strength, because everyone can be strong in their gym where it's, their bar and their special little area that they do all their lifts in and all that kind of stuff where they feel very confident and comfortable. Now, all of a sudden, you're in a competitive setting. You are forced to pick the place that you want to go. There's one that you can do, one that you need to do. Do you have the confidence to do that? And then, what kind of belief do you have in yourself to hit those numbers and to make them happen? Yeah, there's a lot of headspace in this event. So it's a strength, obviously, all kinds of flexibility and stability and mobility piece, and then the mental piece. It is a complete. It's a complete event. It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool.
And the other stressor I think that people didn't really take into account until you were doing it was from the floor.
I love that part.
Because I feel like if it was from the rack, there's not as much stress.
Totally.
Because part of the hard part was just getting the damn bar over your head.
Yeah, because if you started on lightweight, look at all those cleans you had to do. Heavy cleans. Actually, heavy clean and jerk to get it up over your head.
Yeah. I think I PR'd my power clean while
well, you definitely didn't want to have to squat this
I can't squat clean this. And
oh man,
very apparent later on the in the weekend. So that was event 2. However, immediately following this, there was a 2-minute break. So you had a 7-minute time frame to hit your weight. At the 7-minute mark, there was a 2-minute break, and then you rotated to the rings. And it was 4-time 30 burpee muscle ups on the rings.
Super unique choice.
Very unique choice. Never seen it. Never thought about doing it. I think the closest we ever got, unless someone just decided to make something up, was burpee pull ups.
Yeah, the G.I. Jane.
G.I. Jane, which is 100 burpee pull ups for time.
Yeah.
And a burpee ring muscle ups. And we're like, oh, okay. And one part of me is, like I said, is I'm coming off shoulder surgery. So like my gymnastics endurance wasn't there because I haven't been able to practice it in volume, right? Just getting to be able to do a ring muscle up 1 year post-op was a miracle. Not a miracle, but it wasn't a sure thing.
Right.
Let alone a heavy overhead squat. But the fact that they put the burpee in there, I was like, thank you, God. Because that slowed down all of the like gymnastic freaks, because it was just 30 ring muscle ups for time. I'm like, I'm getting last. Like, I'm just going to get last. I can't do that many in a row. But when they put the burpee in there, I was like, game changer.
Yeah.
And I think a lot like what we just saw in event 2 is that if it was just 7 minutes, go out there and hit your heaviest 3, the big guys would have just blown it out of the water. But when you had to pick where you started and you could only jump 10, I feel like that leveled the playing field. And so in event 3, throwing the burpee in there also did the same thing.
And there was a lot of elements. It wasn't just burpee muscle ups. I mean, it took the transition of the muscle up out. So you don't have that usual momentum that you can use, to swing into that, because you got to come down every single time. You have to set the rings every single time. And look at what you just did prior to this. You had to do 50 thrusters, so you're pushing. You had to do 30 pull-ups, so you're pulling, and all the rowing fast. Then you went overhead squat right away, so you're, again, shoulder stability. Then you get to this, and what blows out is your push. I think everyone could do the pull for the most part, but I remember watching people would come down for the burpee and not put their hands down. They would roll their body to the ground, and then try to get up using their legs, not using their arms, because their arms have been used so much today. They needed to save it for that the dip. Yeah. On the muscle up part. It was such a weird. Man, this was a really weird. I liked what it was. I mean, I did okay. I didn't do great on this one, but I liked what it was as far as a test and as far as a cap for day one.
Yeah,
it was so weird.
It was.
Man, there were some people that were really good at this. Holy cow, way better than I was expecting. I mean,
yeah,
it's just the fact of coming off the ring. You're racing, but you have to come off the rings and not throw them and launch them all over the place so that you can jump back up and do their next one. So you have to come down nice and easy and set the rings, go down to your burpee,
which also
get back up,
right? Because lowering yourself, because usually like you just drop from the top because I want to save my arms. I don't want to lower myself into the bottom of that position.
Yeah,
that takes effort. That messes with your grip. And it's funny, as you would think you would see more ring failures if it was just 30 for time.
Yeah.
Burned out. But you're right, that fatigue of the press of the thrusters from event one, the pull, and that was only 30 reps. And then we just sat overhead with heavy weight for 7 minutes. And now the burpee from the floor. And so, yeah, you'd see all these people get on top of the rings and just could not do a ring dip.
Yeah.
In those last 5 reps.
Go back and watch. If you go back and watch some of the YouTube videos from the regionals, I remember specifically doing. I think me and you, did we do Central East this year, or was it me and Sean?
We all did Central East, but that's when we had 2 teams. So
that's right.
I think you, Sean, and Tanya.
I think you're right.
And then I did teams with I think Cherie.
I remember watching the guys specifically not putting their hands down on the burpees. They would go down to their knees. They would lay on their chest. They would push off their elbows, not off their hands, because they didn't want to use their triceps at all and their shoulders at all. They would push back into like onto their knees, step up like a lunge. That's how they would do their burpees so that they could save the push for the ring muscle. It was a trip, man. Again, it was trying to figure something out on the fly. And then this was one of those events that as the weeks went on, people started to see the strategies that people were using and what worked. And if this person did really, really well, how were they setting this up? Everyone could do the first 10, but it's like what you got into like the last 10. What was the time frame that they were using when they were in there? Was there a cadence? People would come off the muscle ups and go right down to the burpee right away, and then have their break time being before they hit the muscle up, rather than trying to make it was really interesting. But a really cool way to finish the first day. A lot of different things were thrown at everyone on this day one.
Oh yeah, I mean, you got your benchmark workout start. You have your 3 modalities: monostructural, weightlifting, gymnastics. Then you have a strength test bias. Then you have a gymnastics test bias, all after the end of day one. So at the end of the day, you had a pretty good sample of how the field is stacking up for the weekend.
And I didn't even really think about this. The classic, and you've always talked about this. They need a name for the 30 muscle ups for time.
Oh yeah.
This is the 30 muscle ups for time. They just put burpees in there too. So like, again, a little tweak on one of the normal CrossFit events, It's cool.
Okay. So I remember we named them.
Briggs.
Is it Samantha is...
Oh, one is ring and one is bar, huh?
I think Samantha is bar and then Briggs is rings.
I think you're right. Yeah.
We did Burpee Briggs. All right, so that was the end of day number 1. As we move into the start of day number 2, and when this event got announced, I think I said this on another podcast that we had earlier, I was convinced this was a team workout. Individual event number 4, we had the hundreds in 2011, and then we just decided to get the ooze from Ninja Turtles 2. And it's 100 wall ball shots, 20 and 14, to a 10-foot target. Doing so well.
Yeah.
We did the same thing last year in the finale, 2011. 100 chest to bar pull-ups, 100 alternating pistols, 100 alternating dumbbell snatches at 70 and 50. And my jaw dropped when I found out this wasn't a team workout. They're like, no, that's your workout. I'm like, what? What? Oh, it's like, all right, we tested some high intensity triplet and some strength overhead and some gymnastics. And then we're just like, boom,
volume
100s of just hard work. When the easiest part of the event is 100 wall ball shots. Like, what? This was gnarly.
It was gnarly. And again, it was so interesting because we were relatively new at how to pace. We didn't really understand, I don't think, as an athletic community of what we understood. The very general idea of like, okay, don't kill yourself, but what does that mean exactly? So for wall ball, I was like, all right, cool, I'll do sets of 50, and thinking that that's somehow going to work. And I remember this was the one time where even for me, watching Rich at the regional level here, here's the champ doing what he does. And he always, one of his best things is he knew exactly how hard to push himself. And he would do pacing sets that you wouldn't think that the best in the world would do. And when he was doing sets of 5 on the chest to bar pull-ups,
yep,
I was like, okay, I hope people are watching this, because here is the best in the world doing sets of 5. Mm-hmm. There is no reason why anybody else should be doing more than that. But what do you see? You see people busting out, coming out. I'm gonna do 25. I'm gonna do 4 sets of 25. No, you're not. You're not. Yeah, it was interesting seeing that. And again, the dumbbell snatches on this one, man, it was just such
it was a beating, dude.
It was a beating. And why I remember being on the floor, and like you'd march down that. Would they have it sets of like 20? 20 or 25, something like that.
20.
And it just seemed like that length that you had to walk,
dude,
was miles long.
It did.
Miles long. I'm like, I'm at 40 right now. I'm never going to finish. I remember thinking that in the pistols, being like at 60 and thinking, dude, I have 140 reps to go on things still.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Well, what is it? Last year when we're like, 50 pistols in a row.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, all right, we'll just double it the next year.
Oh, you guys got better, right? You guys practiced
100 wall ball shots. And then the chest to bar. Yeah. Wall ball, chest to bars, 100 chest to bar pull-ups like that. That was so many. And we've already done 30 pull-ups and 30 muscle ups.
Yeah.
And then you do the pistols, and then you basically go into that dumbbell smoked. Your legs are smoked, your back's smoked, and your arms are smoked.
Yeah.
And now you have to do a dumbbell snatch, which requires all of them, which is part, that's why it is where it is, right? That's part of the design of this event.
Yeah.
That there was so much disruption getting to the dumbbell. And then it was just like, it didn't really matter how strong you were or conditioned. It was just, you weren't really going to fail. Some people were, but they were not part of the equation anyways, as far as who's going to the CrossFit Games. Then it was just like, who's willing to continue on this dumbbell death march to the finish line?
Oh, man.
It was brutal. And if you look at what we've seen so far, right, this is just a whole new element to the programming for the weekend, which was just rough.
I love how it's designed, though. You got the squats with the wall balls, and you go to the pool with the chest bar. Again, not comparing it or putting it in place with the other events, but just specifically the event by itself. Squatting, pulling. It's just it's a nice back and forth between the two. Granted, the pulling isn't exactly the same, but like the just in generality, it's moving you from one end to the other end, to the other end, to the other end.
Yeah, you're right.
It's really, it's a very cool setup.
Interesting.
And I mean, you could very easily, I've seen events where people will do, it'll be wall ball, pistol, chest to bar, dumbbell snatch. And it's like, okay, did you not see what it was supposed to look like? I mean, like, this is set up to where the volume is high, so you're constantly moving. You don't necessarily feel the relaxation, but it gives you a break moving from one piece to the next piece to let you come back and go to the next piece to hit that volume, and then break to you can go back to the next piece and work on the pulling part. Because you're not squatting on the snatches.
Yeah.
You're obviously not squatting on the pull-ups. And the wall balls they're obviously shitty. And then you get the 100 break of the pull-ups before you get into the pistols.
Yep.
So it gives you just enough to where it's like, okay, cool. You'll be rested for the first 50, and then you'll be sucking for the second 50. Yeah, right. But it's a cool event. It's ugly.
This is ugly. It's cool. Big boy event. Like not like athlete size wise, just like
you gotta pull up your big boy pants.
Exactly right. Exactly. Yeah. You had to lace your shoes up real tight for this one.
And I think I overtied them for that one, because in the next one I just was like, okay, here we are again.
Oh yeah, you had a bad event 4 to event 5 transition. You did.
I just remember laughing when this was up. I was like, oh God, here we go.
Oh
here we go.
We are at the halfway point of the weekend. Before we get there, we want to talk about our Programmatron of the week.
Dun dun dun.
Dun, dun. If you guys follow us on patreon.com, thank you. If you don't, go over to patreon.com/get with the program and support the show more than you already do for exclusive content, audio, and as well as merchandise and programming. For $6 a month, you can support the show on Patreon. And every week, we draw a random Patreon supporter and give them free month of programming from the show. And this week's winner, who has been a patron for 11 months, Bill.
Wow.
11 months.
That's like an OG Patreon right there.
That's right. Chelsea, I want to say Gable. Gebel. Gebel.
Yes. Gable.
Gable. We're sorry for messing up your last name, but Chelsea's
awesome. How about that?
Chelsea, thank you for being a Patreon supporter, aka Programmatron. And a little about Chelsea. She says she started CrossFit back in 2013. The same time we're doing this regional. Started CrossFit back in 2013 at Seven Valley CrossFit in Cortland, New York, because I was fresh out of college and needed something to keep me in shape and find some friends. I love the post-college fitness community journey.
Oh man, totally.
I had heard about CrossFit Palace in Ithaca, New York, aka Tim Paulson's gym. What up? What up, Tim? Which is about 30 minutes away, and I'd been looking into that, but then Seven Valley opened up in Cortland, so I decided that this was the time to give it a shot. And I was hooked. Absolutely loved it, and I've been doing it ever since. Met some of my greatest friends and my husband at CrossFit. Fun fact, this is a fun fact. My husband reached out to Tommy and Sean over at Talking Elite Fitness and got them to do the intro to the reception at our wedding last year.
Oh, no way.
That's really cool. Safe to say we're both CrossFit nerds. We currently work out at Swagler Strength in Auburn, New York. Well, Chelsea, there it is. She wrote at the bottom. I had it right the first time. She knew I was going to say the name wrong. Gable. Also rhymes with table. Props to my husband for giving me a difficult last name. My wife sometimes says the same. My wife's last name is Robertson, which is a strong lawyer name, I feel like, because my wife's an attorney. But then I gave her Ingram. But it's spelled differently, so it really pisses her off when people say it wrong. She's like, oh, Robertson was so much better. Chelsea, thanks for being a supporter of the show. If you guys want to support the show more than you already do, for $6 a month, go to patreon.com. Don't go there. I don't know what that website will look like. Patreon.com/get with the programming and support us for $6 a month. We have a free workout of the week with a video from Bill or I believe it. Bill, your last week is now my turn.
You're up.
If you want a little bit extra, we do daily programming, one workout every single day. Bill has been on the train for the last few days here in September, and they are awesome. A lot of cool feedback. I saw your one that you called Natesy Girls.
Yeah.
So that was really cool. And that reminded me what we're doing here at Big D is every Friday we're doing combo girl workouts.
Oh, okay.
And the one we did last week, which is really funny that you programmed Natesy Girls, is I did Nasty Grace.
Ooh.
Yeah, so Nasty Girls is 3 rounds of time, 50 air squats, 7 muscle ups, ring muscle ups, and 10 hang power cleans at 135 and 95. I just switched it to power clean and jerks.
Oh, wow. 135, 95?
135 and 95, so same reps, same weight, but you get full Grace coupled with Nasty Girls, and I made Nasty Grace.
I like it.
It was super fun.
I like that one.
By fun, I mean it was terrible, but that's it. So we want to thank Chelsea for supporting the show. If you guys want to get a free month of programming or in the running for it, you guys can become a Patreon supporter of the show, aka our lovable Programatrons. We want to thank you guys all out there for supporting the show. All right, halfway through. So individual event number 4 was that Monster Hundreds chipper. It couldn't have gone any better for myself. I won it.
Stud.
And then Dave screws me again. Here comes a repeat event, 21:15.9, deadlifts at 315 and 205, and box jumps at 30 inches and 24 inches. And it's a great couplet. It's a parallel event to what we already did in the morning, but it totally broke me. For the second time.
Man, I all I could do is laugh at this one. I'm like, well, okay.
Yep.
Here we go. Damage control. And it was amazing how much better everyone took the, okay, I got to get super strong from the last year.
Yep.
I went this one in there. And the speed that people went on this particular event, dude. I got dusted. I could not believe how fast they went.
What place did you get?
I don't remember.
I know what place
I was trying to hold my ego together. I don't remember.
Dude, when all these events got announced, because last time I competed was 2011, and the event that kept me out of the CrossFit Games was this one. And all this buildup of being a year off and then coming back in, and he repeated this one. I was like, of course. Gods are testing me. Did you work on this? No, I didn't work on it. My back's still messed up from 2011. I just pieced my shoulder back together over the last 16 months, and now I have to do this event again. And, you said he got dusted, but so for me, so I won event 4, and I got last in event 5. I got first, and then I got 41st. I got hurt. I blew my back up in the first 7 reps. I got no rep on 2 of them, and that was really it. That was really the end of my regionals is during this event.
Oh man, this was where, and this was the year that everyone learned how to ride the line of, are you bouncing the bar? Or are you not bouncing the bar? That's how you could tell that people were practicing this event between the 2012 and then this year.
Yeah.
Because I never thought about bouncing the bar. I didn't think that was really even a way to even think about it or do it.
Right.
Dude, there was all kinds of bouncing. And I mean, and trying to figure out how to make it legal while still right. I mean, again, this is competitive. So you're trying to, you can cut as many corners as you can, as long as it's within the confines of the rules. So you're trying to figure out what that looks like. And all I was saying was, I remember trying, and I couldn't nearly bounce it at the tempo these other guys were moving. I just couldn't do it.
There's something wrong with my plates. They're not bouncing.
How come I got the metal ones over here? Must be and we were at the Del Mar Fairgrounds. So, I mean, we were on the cement. I mean, we're on the ground, It's, Can I get some of those high temp ones, please?
I felt like somebody subbed out my blue pound plates for kilo. I was like, is this 425? Because it feels like 425.
Oh, man.
Yeah, that was, I mean, look, the tale of two different events between event 4 and event 5. This is a good test. It's heavy. It's super, super fast. I mean, now people are going sub 3.
Yeah.
Like, it's a true 21:15:9 test now. We're in 11. It was, more of like 3 to 5.
Mm-hmm.
And you're coming off this just massive high volume slog fest. And then you just go full gas pedal to the floor with heavy weight in a high box, right?
Yeah.
These things are still heavy. It's still high, but you're right. The evolution of the athlete over the last 2 years since this was done in 2011, they changed what the event is.
Yeah.
Just with their ability.
Yeah.
And all that 2012 programming paid off.
They got it. All that programming for this one event.
So that closes out Saturday as we move to event number 6, and we start things off with a chipper. Second one of the weekend. Starts with 100 double unders, 50 handstand push-ups. You can kip. 40 toes to bar, 30 shoulder to overhead with the axle bar at 160 and 100, and then a 90-foot front rack walking lunge with the same axle bar. And, we had Diane last year, which was 45 reps. We had the run handstand push-up row in 2011, which was 30. So 30, 45, 50. We're evolving the volume of the handstand push-ups. And listen, this was a unique chipper. Not a bad one. This was a tough event. And those front rack lunges at the end, I mean, we went from what was, I would say, high skill gymnastics tapered into like strength endurance. It's a good chipper. I actually liked it.
Design wise, I think it's awesome.
Yeah.
I don't think that we needed to have 2 of these events in this weekend. Once we start getting to like looking at the whole thing. But when I look at this event by itself, not comparing it to anything else, awesome setup. I think the numbers, are right. It made for this would have been a very fun final if it was the final. Because the lunges were exciting, because it was one of those ones where everyone's failing on the last step. So there was a lot of cheering and a lot of hype with the crowd, and a lot of really good things that were going on there, trying to determine, because everyone's pushing that limit. And that was a lot of, people have done weighted lunges, in the training, but but doing this with this amount of weight, was hard. And you had, again, if you were going to race this, you did the 30 shoulder to overhead. You're trying to do those as unbroken as possible.
Yeah.
And then not putting the bar down to get right into the lunges. So your shoulders are smoked, and then you have them compressed in that front rack lunge. And there was a lot for the athlete. There was a lot of pain, and you had to take on a lot to do that. And kind of hold on for dear life kind of a deal, and it made it really exciting for the athlete, or for the crowd, definitely, to watch it. There was a lot of loud cheering, and the anticipation of each step with every one of those athletes as they're moving was awesome. So the design is great. I think the design is great.
Yeah.
If you had to choose, me personally, I don't think we needed both of these chippers in there. I don't know why they're both there.
Yeah.
I don't know which one I would rather have over the other, honestly. I like them both. I think they're really, really great events.
Yeah.
I don't know how I would pick if I had to toss one.
Well, let's do this at the end.
Yeah, no, I would just prepping it in your head, since we're talking about this one now.
Now I'm thinking, okay, good question. We'll answer that at the end. I'm totally with you. In a bubble, kick-ass chipper.
Totally.
100 double unders, shoulder fatigue, moderate skill, monostructural. 50 handstand push-ups. A lot, but not too much. But that the intensity that you have to go, because it's a descending rep chipper.
Yeah.
You got to go harder than you probably would have wanted to. Toes to bar, 40 toes to bar. pretty high volume, not the most we've seen in an event, right? We had a 50 at the ending chipper in 2011. In fact, it was doing numbers the other direction.
Look at all the pulling like on your hands. You've been on your hands a bunch.
We've done a lot of pulling up into this point. The shoulder overhead, the axle bar was a fun wrinkle that if you aren't used to it, it just is something you need to, it's not going to ruin your event or really throw you for a loop. It's just one of those where you accept the awkwardness and difference and you just go.
Right.
30 at 160 is a lot.
Yeah.
On day 3, on event 6, after the 150 and 40 to get there. And then you're right. Those front rack lunges under fatigued shoulders, fatigued core, elevated heart rate, and just gassed. That 90-foot walking lunge, like you said on the snatches, is like might as well have been a mile.
Yeah, it's crazy.
But in a bubble, I really do like this chipper in general.
Yeah, totally.
How it fits in the grand scheme of the weekend, I'm with you. I have questions that we'll answer at the end.
Yeah.
And then we come to the final event of the weekend, event number 7. Essentially 4 rounds for time, 2 15-foot rope climbs, 4 squat cleans at 225 and 135, but the bar was, it says 100 feet to the rig. It was just far away from the rig. It doesn't...
A distance.
Yeah, away from the rig. So you had to climb over here on one side of the competition floor, do cleans on the other side, and they put them away so the run did matter. If you walked, you would lose time. If you ran, you would lose energy. But that was the finale. This was the start that I would say is a shorter finale. In years past, they probably would have flipped 7 and 6, where 6, that chipper would have been the final event. They've had that in 2011 and 2012. They probably didn't do that because you'd be doing event 7 coming off the deadlift one, which is a very similar movement pattern from clean to deadlift. But this was a finale. It was heavy. It was high skilled. It was high power output and intensity at the end. At this time, after everything that these athletes done, just total and complete fatigue.
Those squat cleans were so heavy.
They were
so heavy.
Squat cleans. I felt like I had a rubber body. Like I could not get my core tight. So when that bar landed on me, I just folded. Like I couldn't secure my midline. I couldn't keep my back flat. Like I was just, there was a lot of other things going on for me at the time physically, but this was a beating.
Yeah, a total beating. And it's a lot of pulling. I love the event. I did okay in this one. I remember that. I remember watching some people just going so goddamn fast. They were able to make those squat cleans look light.
Yeah. And
I remember feeling every single one of those reps. Every single one of them. I really do like this event. Being that it's the last event, I feel it was very anticlimactic as far as like on a spectator sort of setup. I think it would have been a better event to have somewhere in the scheme of the day, whether it's, the first event on day 3 or, on day 1 or day 2 somewhere, mixing things up. I like the event itself. The finish seemed kind of weird. Mm-hmm. And it's funny because like so far of the 3 regionals that we've done, we always seem to have an issue with the final. It's like, well, why was that one even there? I think that was last year's. And the one before that was like, I don't really get this one. Like I kind of feel like Tom Hanks and Big on that. It's like, I don't get it. I just don't get it. And I'd same on this one. I get this event. It makes sense, but I don't get why it's here. It doesn't make for a good final. And again, we're early in the days of trying to have that meshing between programming and competition and broadcast and spectator experience and all that kind of stuff. So I don't really know. I like the event. I mean, I would love to do this one. I mean, in the gym, as far as a regular just gym workout, I think it would be awesome. But just seems weird. I don't know.
Yeah, we programmed this last Saturday. Yeah, last Saturday, but with 5 rounds.
Oh, nice.
No big runs.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it was one to do in the gym.
There you go.
All right. So I'm with you. It was, there wasn't a lot of like drama in this one because of the way it was laid out. It's not a bad event.
No, it's a great event.
And that was when I was, okay, event 6, which was the chipper we just had, that would have been a really cool final.
Totally.
Because it wasn't all kitchen sinky as maybe the last 2 were, especially 2012. 2012 was something else entirely, right? But you have it's really hard to beat a walking lunge to the finish finale.
Totally.
When you talk about drama and spectator friendly and like crowd enthusing setup. But yeah, I was just like, okay, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Done. Yeah, you're right. Okay. So that brings us to the end of the 2013 CrossFit Regionals. And now we will go back and look at what we did, how we did it, and the way we got there from start to finish. So Jackie, again, we had that buy-in with 1,000-meter row, which mattered now. So it wasn't just like a casual 1,000. I think someone argues a faster 1,000 than they had the end of 2011. People probably started
without a doubt,
which is crazy, right? To start with that.
Yeah.
Light barbell, squat, press, overhead, 30 pull-ups. And then you go to the barbell overhead squat, started from the floor. So every rep, you either start with a snatch or a power clean to get it to or above the shoulders. 3 rep max overhead squat. So there's your strength test. You had to do that in 7 minutes, had a 2-minute break straight into 30 burpee ring muscle ups. So you had the ring muscle up pull, the dip, but also not to be overshadowed was the dip press from the floor with the burpee that affected the rings. Then you move to event number 4, another squat press, just like we had with the thrusters, double the reps for 100 wall balls, 2014 to a 10-foot target, 100 chest to bar pull-ups. So we have some more pull-ups now that chest to bar. So we've done 30 pull-ups, we've done 30 muscle ups, and now we're doing 100 chest to bar pull-ups, single leg squats. So squats to the wall ball into the pistols, and then the dumbbell snatches ground overhead, pulling from the floor, 1 motion overhead. That was event 4, high volume. Time frame was at 25 minutes, I think was the time cap there. Most everyone got capped with.
Something, yeah. Yeah.
Very few people in the world finished that event. Let me see what the cap was. 25 minutes, yep. And into event 5, 21:15.9, heavy deadlifts, high box jumps, heavy pulling from the floor, big explosive jump onto top of your box. Again, sub 3 for the majority of the elite athletes doing that. Then we go to event number 6, where we have double unders, shoulders, handstand push-ups, pressing out, shoulders, 40 toes to bar, more hanging, pulling, core, shoulder overhead, and then the front walking lunge. So a lot of upper body endurance and fatigue, I think, is what we're starting to see a little bit here, right? I mean, everything in event 6 is upper body, shoulders.
Yep.
Every single one of those. Double under, handstand push-up, toes to bar, shoulder overhead, front rack walking lunge. Then we go to event 7, 15-foot rope climbs. Total, you have 8 of them. More upper body pulling and endurance. Squat cleans. More heavy pulling from the floor with squatting. The one thing I see a lot of is just a lot of upper body pulling.
There
more than I would say most.
There's massive redundancy here. Massive. I mean, to say that you're noticing a lot. Like I think that's an understatement. I'll say this. I like all the events. I like. Yes. I think that they are great events, and again, the purpose of the regionals is so that you can filter all the people that went through the open to get the fittest people to the games. And the open classically, especially in this era of the open and the regional, was the open was very light and high speed. So you get your smaller, faster athletes are usually in there. And then you try to use this element, the regional element, to filter to get your strong athletes to be able to get to the game to where you can actually put some different kind of tests on them. Yeah. I like these events individually for what they did, but I just really think when I'm looking at it, and I haven't really, I mean, I enjoyed the weekend when I was in it, but when I look at it through this lens, all we did was pull. You got the row, you got the pull-ups, then you got to, clean the bar overhead, to get it on the overhead squats. And then you got the muscle ups, and then you got chest to bar pull-ups, and then you got the dumbbell snatches, and then you got the deadlifts, and then you got the heavy squat cleans and the rope climbs. I mean, you're pulling. And in the past, what I do like is that there is a lot of squatting that we did. A lot of squatting, single leg, double leg, squat cleans, overhead squats, the rows, there's a lot of that too. So I like the pieces.
Yes.
I do think there are redundancies in that. Yes, we had 7 events. We should have made it 6. And I asked the question earlier, if you had to cut one of the long chippers out, which one would you cut? And as I'm looking at this right here, I would say cut event 4, even though I like the hundreds, but that would take out that takes out 200 reps of pulling, 200 reps of squatting, to help kind of even up what you have going on. Event 6, we know that that's all. I mean, just generally it's shoulder stuff, it's pushing stuff for like with the handstand push-ups and the double unders is kind of the shoulder fatigue anyway. Shoulder to overhead, so you're finally pushing there too. Yes, you have the squats with the lunges, but it's not that many of that. So I just think that would kind of clean it up a lot.
Yeah.
It sucks because I like all of them.
Right. So when you're picking one, it's like this event sucks. Like that's not the choice we're making.
No, not at all.
Yeah, I mean,
do you agree that there's like too much pulling?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, 30 pull-ups, 30 muscle-ups, that's 30 reps. 100 pull-ups, that's 160 total pulls. Heavy deadlifts is a pulling movement. That's grippy, intensive off the hands from the floor. Not to mention the dumbbell snatches is also a high-volume, heavy pull from the floor. Toes to bar is another one. And then 8 rope climbs and the squat cleans, right? Like those are all pulling movements in different directions. Pulling doesn't just have to be vertical.
Right.
From overhead to chin over bar. So yeah, there's a shitload of
and I will say this, like I actually like pulling events. I really do. I just think that this when you lay it out like this, you all of a sudden it's like, okay, it's all pulling. I mean, as an athlete, when you're an athlete and you go into whatever the region is, like I didn't care. I didn't care what the events were. I didn't care to say like, well, there's this many pulling events and there's many squatting events and there's many, because it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It's like start here and you finish over there. And here are the things you got to do. And it's like, okay, line them up, whatever. But when you stand back and look at this, if you were to program this setup, let's say take an event and make it a 7-day week for your gym. Mm-hmm. What you would find out is that everyone's arms would be smashed. Their backs would be wrecked because of all the pulling pieces that they had to do. And yes, we're trying to qualify and, the elite athletes to the games. But I just think that now looking at it, it just seems too skewed on that. It's not blended enough.
I have a suggestion for you. It's hard for me to take one away because then the numbers per day don't really fit because of that 2-parter. What if, because the hundreds event is a beating. It's just Like it's a beating so much that it can take away from the other events that follow it, which it did for some people, right? And I don't mean the unprepared, right? I just mean in general. That's a lot. That's a huge, huge high volume event. What if instead of picking one chipper or the other, in event 4, you just cut all the reps in half? 50 reps of everything. And now instead of a beating, it's a race.
Now it's a race, yeah.
And so you still get your test in there, but it's a different test.
Yeah, no, I think that would make the weekend better for sure. I still think that we were even with the goal being that we're trying to qualify the right people to the game. Like this isn't did you make the test to find the fittest? And that's what people have to understand when we're qualifying. What the regionals is. The regional was a qualifying step, and we took the first step of the open and got our pull from that, and now we have to we can't have the exact same qualifier. It's like, what did we miss in the open? And so we're trying to get those things in here. And I think, again, weight wise, rep wise, all that kind of stuff, I think that we did that, but it's, you still want to make it relatively well-rounded in that realm. And I still feel that there's a whole bunch of pulling on this, even cutting it down. I see what you're saying about, ruining the flow of the weekend. Can't have.
I'm just trying to make it fit a little.
21-15-9 on day 2. But I mean, if they did that, yeah, so they would still fit. I mean, would it change it a little bit? Yeah, because you're taking out 100 reps of pulling and 100 reps of squatting. Absolutely.
Yeah. Taking out.
I mean, for sure.
200 total reps of that entire event.
Yeah.
And then, so I'm trying to think, is like, okay, what if you take event, let's say you take event 7 and you make that event 4. So rope climbs and cleans to start Saturday morning. And then you do this chipper, but in 50s to end the night. So you have this like little sprint chipper. Move the deadlift box jump to Sunday morning. And then bump individuals
6 to the final.
Be the final.
Yeah, I'd be down with that.
Because like Saturday, you have 2 events that are pretty similar time frame wise that are very volatile now.
Yeah.
Right? And so you like Saturday's moving day, right?
Yeah.
Like so much moving and shaking in 2 events that you can't really be like, he's going to do well, she's going to do great, or vice versa, right? So Saturday, you have a lot of volatility. And then Sunday, it's like, boom, 21-15-9. Have you gotten better under this fatigue, but not broke off?
Right.
Right, what we did.
Right.
And you had that chipper to finish. A walking lunge to the CrossFit Games.
I mean, yeah, the design would be way better.
Totally removing one out is like modify, shuffle.
Yeah. I'm good with that.
Really pick one or the other to take out, just because if I look at the whole, right?
Which one do you like better, just without it placing anywhere? If you had to do one of them, be like, okay, this one, not which one do you think you would do better in?
Yeah.
Which one do you think is better?
I think event 6 is better.
Okay.
That's a like if I want to say, hey, who's some of the best CrossFitters out here? That's what you'd hit him with. The other one is, like I said, it's just a slog fest volume beating.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, it's a test of fitness. You can't be unfit and do well there, right? You can't fake that event, but it's just a beating.
Yeah. And
I'm better at event 4. I won that event. I was one of 3 people in our region to finish and one of a handful in the world to finish.
Yeah.
Right? And I didn't, and I got capped in event 6, but that was for a variety of other reasons. But yeah.
All right, I'll take that. I'll take that.
Just trying to, like we usually do, a little armchair.
Yeah, no, totally.
Modifying is a little moving and shaking, but yeah, I don't want to take any one of them out, but yeah, I like event 6 chipper over event 4, just as a what I would throw out a test for somebody.
All right.
Okay, end of the weekend, 7 events, 3 days. We have 2 thumbs to vote with for our Element 26 thumb tape review. Bill, I think I went first last time, so I will let you take the honors to go first this time.
I'm going to go a very solid 1.5.
Okay.
Again, individually looking at the events, I really like the events. I think that there is a nice mix of strength without doing a 1 rep max sort of a setup. I like the 3 rep overhead squat where you had to choose your starting weight. So there was a lot of strategy, not just brute strength stuff. The squat cleans were heavy. The deadlifts were heavy. But I really like what the events were. I just feel like it was lopsided a little bit. I feel like we're still, even in this year, trying to figure out what the purposes of the qualifying stages are to get to the CrossFit Games. Do I think that the right people got to the games? Yeah, I don't think that there was necessarily people that didn't make it that should have made it, sort of thing. But when you fall into those specific qualifications, it's now important. Like, you can't haphazardly have every single event that you're pulling. Oh, and we'll throw some handstand push-ups in there to make it all of a sudden a pushing
right.
a pushing event or whatever. But like I said, I really like the events individually. I think that they could have been designed a little bit better as far as like where they were placed on the day is different. I like the idea of adjusting the event 4 and then moving it. I think that's really good. But I think overall, I like it. There were some really fun events, some really exciting things that happened. It opened with a bang. A lot of drama, a lot of fireworks. I think it was a great show for the athletes and for the spectators as well. So 1.5 for me.
All right. I think you gave 2012 a 1.5 too.
I did.
Which one did you like better? Like our grading scale doesn't go region to region. It's isolated in the year it is, but
totally. And that's a good question, because I was actually, when I was trying to come up with what I would vote here, I was thinking about that. And I think I gave them each 1.5 for kind of different reasons. I think if I remember correctly, I like 2012 as a whole minus the last event. I think if we would have taken that out, I would have given more a better rating to that, because it just seemed like, okay, it didn't fit. The one event didn't fit. We went heavy, and that was kind of a jump, and so but I think I like the individual events of this one better. It's just how it's kind of put together, or why they were put where they were and how they were. So as far as which one I like better, you know what? I mean, I did better in the 2012, but I think I liked this one better. I like the events better.
Okay.
So I like this one better.
Yeah, I was just curious.
I didn't really know. That was a good question. I don't know.
Thank you. All right, my Element 26 thumb tape review is, I will also give it 1.5 for different reasons. I did like the events individually. I didn't care for the repeat deadlift personally, but that has no factor on my voting. I'm just throwing that out there. Was this the first time we've repeated a regional event? I mean, this is only, the 3rd time we've had regional, so I guess that's not saying much.
Yeah.
Have we repeated one since? Is this the first and only regional repeat?
Yeah, I think so.
Of course. I am with you, individually isolated in its own bubbles. I like all the events. Obviously, I don't like the deadlift one because I'm bad at it, but it's a good event. So subjectivity aside, in testing, the rope climb clean one was actually great for me. Oddly enough, I'm okay at that weight. I'm really good at rope climbs, and I was at the time in a strength position that 225 was more than manageable. I was actually pretty good at it. The two chippers were the two chippers. They're chippers, so they're two different styles. For super, like I said before, super high volume, I will give it 1.5. I liked the uniqueness of the overhead squat test, even though it reads so simple on paper, but once you got into it, it was very fun. The wrinkle of the burpee with the ring muscle ups was unique and fresh. Jackie was always, that was such a fun, just watching that event across regions was just fun to watch what was like possible by the athletes. I gave 2012 1.25, I believe. And so I like this one a little bit more. Upon going through it, there was a lot of redundancy here, a lot of heavy pulling just in volume and in weight. I mean, like I said, 100 snatches at 70 and 50 in 2013 was significant.
Yeah.
The deadlift was heavy, even though some people did very well. The squat cleans were the squat cleans, but yeah, 1.5. I thought it was a good regional. I thought everybody who qualified really earned their stripes to get to the CrossFit Games. So at the end of the day, this accomplished what it was set out to accomplish. But again, like you said, Bill, this is 2013. This is the third year, only the third year where we've had standardized programming as a qualifier to the CrossFit Games. So you're right. They are still learning.
Yeah.
And, we making sure we judge this based off what it was. Like, we give it a positive review. It was a good regional test. It got the right people to the CrossFit Games. I think in this one, I gave it an extra quarter than I did in 2012 because, yes, it was some redundancy there, but I still don't think it favored one athlete. All right, it's like, yes, we did a lot of squatting, but a lot of different squatting.
No, totally true.
We did a lot of pulling, but a lot of different pulling. Whereas in 2012, it was all the same pulling. It was only really two different styles of events between event 1, 3, and 5 and 2, 4, and 6. So I'll give it 1.5.
There you go.
I'll give it 1.5. Although I would be curious to see with our event shakeup and shifting, what that would have looked like.
Yeah, totally.
A 50s test, that'd be fun. Maybe I'll program that. 50 wall ball shots, 50 chest bar pull-ups, 50 pistols, 50 dumbbell snatches.
That's an entirely different event now. Wow.
Oh, just
it's not even in the same realm.
Yeah.
It's not like, oh, it's just half of it. No, it's like, it's a completely different race.
Well, I remember now that I'm thinking about it is that the teams did this in a relay format, but it was 30 of everything.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, that's just unbroken everything.
Everything. Yeah. Yeah.
That's not enough volume.
Right.
Right.
Like where are you going to mess up other than getting a no rep or you trip?
Yeah. Like 30, but I think 50, right? Because like, okay, 30 wall ball shots, whatever.
Yeah.
30 chest bar pull-ups, fine.
Yeah.
I'll get there, right? 30 pistols. Okay. I might have lost my balance. And then 30 dumbbell snatches at 70 and 50. At that point now, there's not enough volume to separate. So I think 50 is right on that edge. Okay, yeah, I can do 50 wall ball shots unbroken. But what is that going to do?
Right.
How my legs going to feel going into the pistols? Do I do 50 pistols as fast as I can? What is that going to do to my legs
and
low back for these dumbbell snatches?
Yep.
And it can't really, I mean, some people can now, but 70, 50 for 50 reps at that high intensity coming in, I think that would be a good race. That'd be good. That'd be cool. Yeah. Really cool.
I agree.
All right, bro. All
right, dude.
So 1.5 for Bill, 1.5 for me. We each had our different reasons, and based off what we did in 2012 to now, different scopes of the spectrum as we go from year to year. The next year we will be doing is 2014, which was a very exciting year, especially in the Central East that we got to be a part of. This was Rich Froning's swan song year. He had announced his retirement. This was 2013 was also the year Matt Fraser started competing at regionals.
That's right.
That's when he made a name for himself in the overhead squat event. That's where
right. We're like, who is this guy?
who is this guy? And that was,
who is this guy?
Who is this guy? And then we found out. But
it's that guy.
But that was 2013. We want to thank you guys for listening to the show. Give us your feedback of what you thought of this year. If this is your first time hearing it, go back and look. Go back and watch old videos. They're out there now. The analogs or the stockpile of video is building now on YouTube as we go, we get bigger in the years. And, all of these regions were broadcasted around the world for the most part. Maybe a couple were not. But go back and look at some of your OGs throwing down. Go watch Bill. Go watch Bill.
Go watch a young Bill of 40 something.
Relatively young Bill.
A younger Bill, definitely.
That was super fun. I'm excited to get further into these as we march towards the infamous year of 2018 and then the blip that was 2019 through 2020. But don't forget, we are going to announce the dates of our elimination bracket for the greatest open event of all time. We'll work with Tommy and Sean over at Talking Elite Fitness and get you guys some brackets. So we'll have some fun. We'll set some dates there. I want to thank our supporters on Patreon and our partners of the show. Bill,
sir,
you have a wonderful weekend, sir.
You too, man. You too.
All right, everybody. Take care.
Bye, everybody.